back step of an April morning and watched the men go up with lights and fire the doors. That was how doors could be managed. You could stand there watching as a boy and hear the hot sound start in the distance there. Deep red fires begin to mark the hills, scraps of it as if hares were sitting up in the gorse, all aflame from the sun rising behind their fur. You could hear the cock crowing in the deep valley, and you could hear the farmer stirring up his horse to lead him out into the yard, hitch him to the yard arm of the butter tree. And then round and round that horse would walk, till the wife tapped on the window in the dairy when the butter came at last. And the farmer never heard. But the horse always did and stopped. And that following yard arm would come around and knock him in the hocks. Farmer cursed him then. Oh, and when the farmer was plowing in the autumn, he'd take his horse to the neighbor's horse for the yoke. Now that same gorse they then cut with a stubbing axe and fed the crushed root to the horse for to make him strong and plow. Now, if the neighbor's horse hadn't had the winds, why, he'd smell the winds off the breath of the farmer's horse and wouldn't work in the trace. For he had to give them both the winds. And in winter, back to Sligo town, for my father's business and my schooling. We left the cock to crow in the growing mold till Easter following, and the horse would be again. And on the evening of that spring day, when the butter of the world came and the yard arm of the world fell down and knocked my legs, half the hills would be burned. You could see maybe the shape of America, all deep, yellow, high flame, fume smoke. They were things that I left when I myself began to fume with youth, and had the silver for a ticket to Cork, for a ship of sails to New York. I traded my gorse, my father, my Sligo, for an army horse, who saddled me my own, and I was on him on the Indian Wars. And when too weary for that work, I looked about me, and I was good for nothing. So, one day, in the darkest day of my life, I rode into a young town of those days called Whitewoman Street, where the canal workers and troopers used to visit the famous whore, the only white woman for 500 miles. I was keen to see her. My heart was sore, and I was needing a hint of home, and I went to her. So, 30 years ago, not far from here, I saw the worst sight of all my days. I hit the roads of America as a simple outlaw and followed that trail. I was a changed man from that time on. My heart was a kind of hidden hill where at the last hours of the night the men would climb with fires and fire the rampant course. So now, with memories of home, I aim to head for home again and rest. A local man in Sligo. But I can't go two pieces till I stand again in Whitewoman Street and beg a certain ghost for her good word. In this filthy land, thinning trees, to send true home. At Easter, here, in Ohio.
How's that
I was there. Loose women. Lovely, lovely loose women all about me. Silk drawers, gents.
Ain't he there in his nest?
No, sir. My guess is he'll be up in a tree stealing honey, or chasing after some varmint for breakfast. Maybe one of your bears sneaked up and dragged him away, Mum.
He'd be crushing daisies and chuts, most like. Trying to find a quiet spot for himself.
Morning, Trooper, any luck?
Why do I lick that rock sugar when I know what it does?
That human nature.
Someone wake that poor sleeping man. Let Daniel wake that bosom pal of yours.
When you waken, we can be talking. I got something fixed now.
Maybe weary still, Blakely.
Weary, but he knows where the coffee grinds is.
Pick him up, Nathaniel. Still feeling poorly there, brother. I would be wanting some hogweed for that.
Rising up now, Jim, my old chap. That man thinks he's got the right to freeze up every morning of his life. We got to wake a man from the living dead to get a cup of coffee.
Got a government bullet in his back somewhere.
West Virginia, but that 3 years ago now. His black nose twitched.
Hog down Little River can work the same mischief.
Hallelujah! You there, Jim? Where's the coffee?
Well, good morning, Mr. Whiskey.
Now that's a nice thing to call me, and me having sworn off later. I will fill myself up all right with that coffee. Where's the coffee?
Thoughtful God has made us a sweet morning.
Southern Ohio weather had bested. I watched the mist lift off the valley. Where it goes, no creature knows. These woods get gold when the old sun starts his rising. It's be bare country, but a fella can gaze happy.
May you see that shining dogwood.
Awesome.
I wait some bear then. Right honest weather for an old man from Ohio in the early days of that. Familiar to me, this springing weather.
Mo, you the chicken spring.
Well, boys, suppose you're wondering these last few days why I bring you to these empty lands. Why we send our horses over fields without a harvest song. Why we wander through these thin woods. Just most of this world strange to us, Trooper. None of this was special.
You fixing something there, Trooper?
I fixing something. I know a gold train. You know a gold train? I know one. Passes through a town about 2 days from here. Gold train.
You been in this town, Trooper?
I've been, maybe 30 years ago. Is that so?
Why can you be running these times? You sure it is?
No, but I believe it does. I hope it does. Army train. And an army train tends to run regular enough to the
Where's the look-see?
I got the look-see anyways.
Well, I can hope too, this train of hope, Trooper.
You all want to go with chess?
Sure.
Jim.
Coal train. Well, hey, I don't mind being a rich man. You got James Moran.
All right then. 2 days.
Right. Hot coffee suits this man. What do you say to another month, then some?
Optimistic, like the fella said, huh?
Some dark, grievous winter, Eddie.
Dark, grievous winter for poor lumberman that ain't got no homes. Black as rain all through. Never saw such dribbling, weeping in the skies. Need a gold train.
God, listening, Blakely. Locked in silence.
Now just rambling.
Water in winter and sweat in summer. Two useless things that everyone's got.
That's some of your southern lore, Jim.
Wait a man I knew once, and Nantucket. Or the finest skins you ever saw. There were no rain of earth could drench them so wrapped in those skins. He had a hat, steep as a mountain, black beard, gold man it was. And his yellow skins in the prow of the storming ship. Could take any wave of sea on his head, just shake the sea off. A gold man.
Make rain umbrellas from whale ribs they do. Maybe be raining in the night. See any whale scouts on these green seas lately? There she reaches!
They're taking corsets too on them ribs. See any corsets? See the same scarcity, women in Wales out here.
Oh, you see women now, mighty women, Stuart. You see many good women.
I hope. See those Indian women waiting for you? Those high stocking dresses. That's what you see there.
It's a rather nice town like that.
Not rubbing it. That trainer in possession of that town, they're a through-going trainer. We can be moral men there in that town, believe me.
Best buy some stores before we chance this train. You're gonna be stewing up some hickory in the morning otherwise.
You want to go store shop elegant-wise before we steal all that glistening gold on that good through-going train?
And you care for that Jim's coffee, don't you? We only got 3 spoons left to sprinkle now.
Sure, Jack.
That's it.
Don't be saying again we'll be robbing that town. You hear, Blakey?
Sure, Trooper.
You try any of the nice Indian girls, too.
Anyone else care to grizzle me?
And have no money then. Not for a wild women. 30 years gone by and I'm still short for them real needles.
I think too, you got no money now either.
Don't matter. We got enough for girls, mate.
Ain't you a rubber band of that? You think so?
You got a bathhouse in that White Woman Street there, Trooper?
Not those 30 years ago. Maybe it's a big up-jump civilized place now.
Oh, I believe I could steep for a month. I believe I got the dirt of last fall and the dirt of this winter gone by. Here comes the dust of the spring weather. Dust and bird shit and such devil.
That's all as good as a raincoat load.
Rain touches this just lightly, my dude. Ball makes and turns into a quagmire. That's the right word, isn't it? You mean scholar.
Why more? Certainly is.
Quagmire.
Doubtless is a funny old man, though.
I doubt that.
Doubtless!
One day, she might come in with the red gloves, she might say. The next blue. Maybe purple. Maybe a strange stain of elderberry. All them things that turn up later in bottles. Local wine. I don't know if she lives. People in Sligo who knew her said she could make a good wine out of hogs. They rarely do. Or better, Ewberries, the killer of cows. Maybe the ma done that. Maybe her arms smelled so good because she was forever scrubbing off the juices. Yeah, in that white tin case of burning soul. Sometimes her arms were just rainbows. She smelled fires of soul. A young woman making wine for her husband's friends and scrubbing. I don't know if she lives.
What time of the clock is it, Trooper, for a man who might hurry?
The time of the blessed clock is now 10 good minutes past the hour.
Which hour is that, Trooper?
7th hour, I think.